Assalamualaikum Nazreen, welcome to Perspective. Once again, I have Alizeh with me. Last time हमने जो 3-4 दिन पहले एक अपना इंटरव्यू किया था उसमें Alizeh had posted some question asked me on her Insta. उस पर कुछ हमारे पास सवालात आए थे तो we wanted to respond to those. Alizeh उसका जवाब देंगी. I'll ask her the questions. हमने 4 questions Alizeh select किए हैं out of a few जो कि कुछ common थे. So shoot. Should I ask?
Go for it.
Okay. First question is, Alizeh, how did you figure out which uni you want to go to and how did you find part-time jobs? So there are 2 parts.
So, how did I figure out what uni I want to go to? I decided what program I was going into, what country, what area of that country, and then I went into looking at options around there. Options I was considering were Humber Canadian Makeup College and Sheridan. In the end, I compared course loads and the process that they go through within the program, in addition to what they offer. So my program offered an additional course in business and marketing and portfolio development
Yeah, that's
compared to the others, which is why I ended up going for that one. So it's all just research work. 2-3 दिन लगते हैं,
Okay.
ज़्यादा दिन नहीं लगते. But first you need to decide where you want to go. If it's more open-ended, तो फिर just look into colleges that interest you. मेरा तो I had a limitation to be in the Toronto area, so that's how I went according
So
to
the
it.
best option available
Available
within the
within
Toronto
that area.
which offers the course that you're living.
Yeah.
So you have to narrow it down.
So I had to compare them.
And the
but
second part is, how did you find part-time jobs?
That one was both easy and difficult at the same time. I got my resume ready. I already had a bunch of work experience from my internships, and I was working part-time essentially pehle bhi. So when I went in, I wasn't going in completely blank with an empty resume. So that helped out a lot. I applied online on Indeed, LinkedIn, to any jobs within the area that I was living in. So I live in Oakville. So any openings that they had for Oakville,
As per the university allows you to do
20 hours. At the time, I was allowed
20 hours
20
per
hours. So part-time में 20 hours से 26 hours तक का आपका होता है, तो 20 hours वो आपको cap कर देते हैं. But I applied to jobs within the field that I was studying. So it were retail jobs, but related to makeup. But additionally, I'd applied to other things as well, random part-time jobs like cashier, stuff like that. But it worked out for the best, and I ended up working in the beauty boutique.
So you have to apply
You have to
for the
apply,
opening, so-
and then they'll call you back for an interview. The worst thing is sometimes you don't get a call back at all. You don't know if your application has gone through. It just gets confusing, but trust the process wala
Lovely.
situation.
Now coming to the second question, it is, how can we get a scholarship for masters in art field?
So I was actually looking into scholarships about 4 or 5 months ago because budget aajkal tight hai. So I was looking into it, and there's lots and lots of resources available online. I'll put a link to the website that I was looking into. I don't remember the name, but I have it saved. So that one, you put in your country, you put in your passport, you put in your current level of education, and for all around the world, you can also specify what area you're looking into that you want to go to. It'll give you scholarship applications for different universities all around the world if you're applying for a specific one. I was looking for something specific to my uni. I found a few through that site, and also uni portals themselves, they have a lot of options available.
Within that. Okay.
But it is doable. There's way too many resources out there to not pursue it. I ended up getting a scholarship last semester for my thing. I applied through my uni portal.
Yeah, you got that
Yeah,
cash back in your
in my
fee.
tuition.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the third question. What was the process? Applying, moving, getting settled.
So applying, we've already gone over it a little bit. So I decided where I wanted to go, put together my portfolio, my transcripts and everything, and sent it their way.
You have to write an essay also.
The
whatever requirement.
letter of intent, it's basic stuff that you have to do in an admission process.
Which is applicable almost everywhere.
It's
the same
everywhere,
process.
regardless of where you're applying or what degree you're going for. It's the basic stuff. My additional was a portfolio. which I put together with previous work, and I made some work specifically for the
So that's
portfolio.
applying. And moving?
And then moving, there was the entire visa process. I did this during COVID time, so it was super delayed. I ended up going to Canada almost an entire year after I started my program. So it took 6 months after I was already in the program for me to hear back about my visa.
And how were you doing that through
So
yeah.
I did it mostly myself, but in the end, I ended up using a immigration consultant, just a freelance one, and they helped me out with my application. Just went over it. I had put together all the files and everything myself, and I have done 2 more applications after that, so I've gotten really good at it now for my work permit and my study permit extension. So I'm capable of doing it all on my own. पहली दफ़ा थोड़ी मुश्किल होती है, but it's super easy once you read through all of it. Like, it's definitely doable on your own.
I would just like to add one thing before you finish this. You did your, once you were done with your diploma, you got your diploma.
Yeah.
In that, then you applied for work permit. You also
So you get a post-graduation work permit,
permit.
the application that you're eligible for after you graduate from any Canadian institution.
So you can formally work more hours as
Yes,
per that.
full-time.
Whatever
Yeah.
is allowed, full time. And the last thing is getting settled.
Getting settled. So I ended up going there a year after I'd already started my program. For me, it was super easy because I was living with family. So I got picked up from the airport, went to my aunt's house to quarantine for 3 weeks because I needed to be in a place that was like my own room, completely separate. COVID times again, so it was a completely different procedure. After I landed, I had to spend a night at the hotel till my COVID test cleared. Then I went to my aunt's house, spent 3 weeks there, then ended up going to my uncle's house in Oakville where my uni is, and that was about it. But if you're going into it with nowhere to stay, you're going to want to look into subletting a place because that's easier than leasing a place when you don't have a credit history in the country, or student accommodation. Those are the 2 options that you would want to go for. But it's obviously easier when you have a place to stay.
Okay. And last question, and I love this the most, last but not the least, I would say. Question is, can the broke baddies go to Canada?
They can. I am surviving, but I would advise against it. Life gets really, really hectic when you don't have a lot of money to fall back on. Like, I end up making just enough to make it to the end of the month. And my parents are paying my tuition, but it's difficult even trying to manage my additional stationery, school, printing, all of those expenses.
Transportation,
My
food.
transportation, my food, my basic necessities, clothes, all of that stuff I've been doing on my own. Even though tuition is covered, all of that stuff you can't do without working unless you have money. And if tuition is not covered either, I would highly unrecommend it.
And on a serious note, what these people should not be doing is, if you're broke and cannot afford tuition, as you rightly mentioned,
Yeah.
minimum
Yeah.
tuition and probably partially accommodation. So then you can work harder.
And
It is
then-
tough
Yeah.
because you need to attend college. If you don't do that, and if you're just intending to go there for some other purpose and
Yeah.
living there or whatever, not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Not a good idea.
No.
It's bad.
It's a bad idea.
And then you lose focus. Then you go into other things, and that's
I
not-
can already say last year when I was getting less hours and I was struggling to make enough money, I had picked up 2 jobs.
Yeah.
And it
Becomes
became
hectic.
really hectic. I could barely manage my schoolwork and that. In the end, I did manage, but I was barely sleeping. I was barely able to concentrate on stuff in class. It gets really, really tiring, and I would not recommend it at all. It's very important that you either save up and then go, or you have some sort of support system. Otherwise, it is unattainable.
and leaves a bad impression of the country and the people coming from there also.
Oh, that is part of the reason why there is such a bad impression.
So that's about it, Alizeh. And thank you so much for the questions that you asked, and I hope the replies were satisfactory enough. And Alizeh will put this up on her Insta link as well, so that you can narrow it down and find what you're looking for at the right place. Thank you so much once again. We'll meet you soon. Thank you once again, Alizeh.
You're welcome.
Bye bye.